Genshin being a gacha game means it has a big cast of characters, which means some characters will get less screen time or get neglected when it comes to development and appearances and story content. But there is a difference between a character that has a small importance to the story and a character that's just not developed. In this video, I'll be talking about characters that I believe hoyoverse could expand upon to make the story more interesting, or just characters that have potential and are just not being utilized properly. This list may be biased to who I just want to see more of, but I will try to keep it as unbiased as possible, and you can also tell me what characters you would like to see more of in the comment section below. I do want to say one thing before we start. Thank you so much for the success on my Natlan video. It did so much better than I was expecting. It was kind of overwhelming waking up to all of that, but it was a good kind of overwhelming, so thank you, and if you aren't already subscribed, please do, as it really helps me grow. Let's get started with the video. Venti. Out of all the Archons, Venti is the one with the least amount of development given to him. Not only does he not have a second story quest, he, for the most part, only appears in an event to show how much of an alcoholic he is. Out of everyone in this list, he is the one I am willing to wait for the longest, if that makes any sense, because hoyoverse tends to not disappoint when it comes to Archons, and if they're taking this long to expand on him, I'm hoping they're cooking up something really good. Trust. For example, his relation to the god of time, Istaroth, the dandelion seed, the upside down statue, is so interesting to me, and so much more of Mondstadt's world building hinges on him as a character, and to see him just be reduced to some alcoholic bard by not only hoyoverse themselves, but also the community, gets kind of disappointing. I need another Windbloom that hits just as good as the 3.5 one. Nothing beats learning about the Hexen Circle for the first time, and I just need Venti's second story quest to be just as good, if not better, than 3.5. Venti himself is a character shrouded in mystery, and like a good portion of Genshin's cast, has some misconceptions floating around his character. When we do eventually get his second story quest and potentially a Mondstadt expansion, I hope it clears up most, if not all, of the questions we may have about him. Albedo. Albedo was the main inspiration for this whole video. Not seeing him in the potion quest really grinded my gears. How the chief alchemist was not involved in a potion making event held by the Knights of Avonius is beyond my understanding. Not only that, the last time we got an event that focused on him was 2.3. It's been more than 3 years. I need to see him in another Albedo-centric event, or just give him a second story quest so that it's permanent. We also haven't heard about primordial Albedo ever since then. Like, what has he been doing this whole time? His connection to Rindar and his many siblings are what I am most excited for. Both his main events were really good. It is a shame that they stopped doing them. When I first started Genshin, I thought his events were going to be a yearly winter thing. Imagine my disappointment when I was wrong. It would have been so cool to get to learn more about him every year during winter. Mondstadt as a whole has kind of been put in the backseat while hoyoverse works on the other regions. It is also the only one that hasn't gotten a sub-region expansion like Enkanomiya and Chasm. It is also the only one that doesn't have a second world boss. When Mondstadt update does come, I will be very excited for it, and hopefully comes with a shit ton of lore for all the underdeveloped characters of Mondstadt, since Albedo and Venti aren't the only two, but they're the only two I will be mentioning in this video. Kujo Sara. The Inazuma Archon quest writing-wise was messy, to say the least. I feel like Sara could have been given a more enemy-like role in the whole thing, or a stronger role in the whole thing, and though I understand it makes sense for her to have not been able to beat Signora, it would have been really interesting to see the lead-up to that moment outside of the traveler's perspective. After the Archon quest, she has been reduced to small appearances in certain event quests, but nothing more, and she still doesn't have a hangout quest of her own. Her past with the Kujo family and how she was raised would be an interesting path for hoyoverse to talk about, and I would also like to learn more about her being a Tengu. She is Raiden Shogun's basically second in command. She is the general of an army. I want her to be more involved in Inazuma-based quests. Even if they tie her appearances to the Raiden Shogun, it would still be better than what we currently have, which is basically nothing. She's one of the main side characters of Inazuma, and we barely get to see her. On the same note, Kokomi. Like Kujo Sara, Kokomi was very important to the story, and she had so much potential with the theory that she was the Hydro Sovereign, but we all know how that ended. Still, even if she isn't the Hydro Sovereign, there's still so much more to do with her. She literally lives on top of Enkanomiya. The story possibilities are endless, and if they won't focus on Enkanomiya, why not focus on the political aspect of Inazuma, on how Watatsumi is rebuilding its bridges with the mainland of Inazuma, Narukami Island, after the Civil War happened. I want them to show how both sides are planning on rebuilding their bridges. Politics, while some may find it boring, is an important part of world building, and there are ways to make it not boring to go through as a story quest. I would also like to know about how she became a strategist and how things are improving for Watatsumi's citizens. Kokomi is one of those characters that I was really expecting to have a much more influential role in the Inazuma Archon quest and just in Inazuma as a whole, but she doesn't really get given much of anything. She doesn't really appear. She is like the poster child for wasted potential. Kujo Sara and Kokomi, they're on the same level, with Kokomi being slightly higher higher than her because she technically rules over Watatsui. She's not just the person who's in charge of the army, but both of them aren't giving any like stronger roles or any importance in the story after the Archon quest, and it's kind of disappointing that hoyoverse has chosen to go on this route. I don't think it's too late to fix them, but I don't think people are really that interested in seeing them fixed anymore. It's been too long. I wouldn't say no to either of them being in like more content and much better written content. I just feel like it's a little late. But hey, it's never too late. Better late than never, I guess. And last but not least, Sino. Future me here. This part was written before the 4.6 live stream, but I feel like I should still add it, despite the fact that what I'm going to say in the upcoming part is pretty much what's going to happen in the second story quest. I still would like to put my opinion here. Sino is the main cast of Sumeru. He was very influential during the Sumeru Archon quest, and during the Windbloom where him and Tignari took Koli to, on set, we learned about powers that laid in his body. Not only was this an unvoiced random part of the quest, it was never referenced again, to my knowledge, and instead, he is used as a TCG poster boy. While I enjoy the fact that they added his extreme love for the card game as a consistent part of his personality, I wished they expanded more on his powers, his past, his relationship with his dad, and subsequently Lisa, instead of the TCG. Personality-wise, he's my second favorite Sumeru character. He's also the one I am most excited about to see what hoyoverse does with his character. Unlike Kokome and Kurosawa, it's been a while since they've been released, so it's kinda a little late to fix them. Better late than never, I guess. But he came in less than 2 years ago, so technically speaking, there's still time to fix his character. It's not really not fixing, more like improving upon what is already there. His story quest, while interesting, doesn't give us much about his past and powers, which are, in my opinion, the most interesting parts about him, and the fact that it feels so forgotten is kind of disappointing. I know that hoyoverse tends to take their time with certain characters, but it has been almost 2 years since he was introduced, and we have gotten basically nothing about him in the aspects that I want him to be in. He has been in many events. He's the Ito of Sumeru. hoyoverse is not like keeping him locked in the basement like Albedo or something. He's very prevalent in a lot of events, but you don't learn much about him. I hope when we get his story quest, hopefully it's not in like Natlan or something, it isn't a TCG side quest, and the story quest actually talks about him as a character and his powers. There's just so much potential for him, and I can't wait for it to be fleshed out more. I hope going forward, hoyoverse does start to expand on characters that have been out for a while. They're doing well with the more recent characters. Like Rina is probably one of the best written Archons. You know, the newer characters are a lot more better written. The newer Archon quests are a lot more interesting. They're doing well with the more recent characters, but going back and updating the older characters can help breathe new life into them and the regions they're associated with. I could probably think of more characters that could benefit from having their story expanded upon, but that's all I have for now. Or more like these are the ones I am more excited for. Tell me what characters you wish got more attention and how you think their story could be expanded upon. That's all I have for today. Subscribe and see you whenever.